Welcome to the slow world, where the world quiets down and nature tells its story. Settle in and allow the weight of the day to drift away. There is nothing you need to remember. Simply listen as we follow a day in the life of a red fox. The world outside is a canvas of blue and white, a place of deep, silent cold under a sky that is not yet awake. But here, 6 feet beneath the frozen surface, deep within the dark, forgiving earth, it is warm, it is dark, it is safe. Beneath the gnarled, spreading roots of an ancient pine tree, a narrow, sloping tunnel leads away from the frost and into a small, rounded chamber. This is the den. It is an old place, perhaps used by many generations of her kind. The walls are packed earth, dense and insulating, holding the memory of warmth against the winter cold. The ceiling is a tangled web of thick, woody roots, a natural lattice that keeps the soil from falling. The air inside is still and close. It smells of damp soil, of dry, fibrous roots, and of the faint, musky, yet familiar scent of the fox herself. It is the smell of home, a scent of absolute security. Curled in the center of this quiet darkness, the red fox is a perfect circle of warmth. A sphere of vibrant, russet fur, so thick it seems to have a life of its own. Her long, bushy tail, a magnificent brush, tipped with a brilliant flash of white, is draped carefully over her nose and her black, furred paws. It is a soft, living blanket, a personal muffler that warms the frigid air just before she breathes it in. Her sleep is deep and untroubled. Her breathing is a slow, steady, almost imperceptible rhythm, a soft rise and fall of her flank in the gloom. In this underground sanctuary, she is completely removed from the world above. The wind that whispers and sometimes howls through the pines is just a faint, muffled sigh down here. The biting cold that settles deep into the snow and freezes the marrow of the trees cannot penetrate these earthen walls. Here, there is only the sound of her own slow heartbeat, a quiet, muffled drum in the stillness. There is only the feeling of her own warm breath, a gentle, humid cloud beneath her tail. There is only the profound peace of a predator at rest, her body rebuilding its energy for the day to come. She dreams, perhaps in scents and sounds and feelings. The ghost of a scent from a lush, green summer field, thick with the smell of clover. The faint, remembered sound of a gurgling stream, and the feeling of cool water on her paws. Her delicate paws, with their sharp, black claws, twitch in her sleep, just once, as she chases a field mouse through a sun-drenched meadow that exists only in the quiet theatre of her mind. The den holds her. It is a quiet, dark, and gentle space, a womb of earth and roots, as the world outside, cold and vast, slowly, silently begins to wake. A change happens. It is not a sound that wakes her, but a feeling. A subtle shift in the quality of the stillness. The deep, resonant silence of the dead of night, a silence that seems to have weight, gives way to the thin, crystalline silence of the coming dawn. A vibration, perhaps felt through the earth, a change in the planet's slow rhythm. The fox stirs in her sleep, Her body remains curled, but her ear, a sharp blackback triangle, twitches once, then twice. It catches a sound from the world above, filtered down through the earthen roots. The distant, cawing cry of a raven, a single, lonely note that is the first voice to break the profound stillness of the morning. She does not jolt awake. Her return to the world is a slow, gradual, and cautious process. Her breathing changes first, deepening from the slow rhythm of sleep to a more conscious pattern. She unfurls from her tight circle, stretching her forepaws out in front of her. The movement luxurious and slow. She flexes her sharp, black claws, extending them and then retracting them into the soft fur of her paws. She yawns, a wide, silent opening of her jaws, revealing a pale pink tongue and sharp, white, predator's teeth. Her eyes, the colour of dark, clear amber, open. In the absolute darkness of the den, they seem to gather any stray particle of light, glowing with a soft, internal luminosity. She remains perfectly still for a long moment, simply listening. Her ears, now fully alert, map the world outside the den with an astonishing precision. The raven calls again, its voice sharper now, and farther away. The wind sighs in the high branches, a soft, mournful sound. Nothing else. No footsteps, no snapping twigs, no other voices. She gets to her feet, her movements fluid and utterly silent in the confined space. She shakes her entire body, a single, vigorous shudder that starts at her nose and ripples all the way down to the white tip of her tail. A small cloud of dust from the den floor flies from her thick coat. She feels the blood returning to her limbs, a tingling warmth. She feels the energy beginning to stir within her, a quiet hum of readiness. She turns and pads softly down the short, dark tunnel toward the single point of pale, blue-white light that marks the entrance. As she nears the opening, her posture changes. Her movements slow. Her body sinks low to the ground, her belly almost brushing the cold earth of the tunnel floor. She stops just inside the mouth of the den. A dark shadow held within a darker shadow, her form completely hidden from the outside world. She pokes her long, sharp muzzle into the morning. The first breath is a shock of absolute purity. The air is impossibly cold, crisp and clean, so different from the air in the den that it feels like drinking ice water. It smells of snow, of the sharp resin of pine, and of the vast, empty, metallic scent of the cold sky. It is a world away from the warm, earthy, familiar scent of her den. Her eyes, adjusting quickly to the new, pale light, take in the scene. The world is painted in shades of blue and soft lavender. The snow is a deep, soft blue in the shadows, a pale, luminous lavender blue where it catches the first hint of the still and resin sun. The trunks of the pine trees are stark, black columns standing in silent ranks against the soft, blue-white landscape. Everything is still. Everything is silent. Everything is covered in a fresh, unmarked blanket of powder snow that fell during the night. She sees no movement. She hears no threat. She smells nothing but the cold and the trees and the snow. The world is safe. With a final, cautious look to her left, and then to her right, her amber eyes scanning the entire scene. The red fox steps out of the darkness of the earth and into the quiet, blue morning of the winter forest. The fox moves across the snow with a weightless, flowing grace. Her paws are wide, the thick, coarse fur between her pads acting like natural snowshoes, allowing her to walk on top of the deep, soft powder without sinking. Her footsteps are a series of neat, precise prints, a perfect, straight line that stitches its way across the clean, white canvas of the snow. The cold air makes her breath a visible cloud of white steam with every exhalation. Her thick winter coat, a brilliant flame of orange and red, is a startling, beautiful contrast against the monochromatic blue and white world. She is a spark of fire in a world of ice. She is not wandering aimlessly. She is working. She is hunting. But her hunt is a form of quiet, focused meditation. It is a practice of deep listening. She moves to a small, open meadow nestled between two stands of tall pine trees. Here, the snow is a deep, smooth, unbroken field, a silent, white blanket laid over the sleeping earth. But beneath this silent surface, there is another world. A secret world of tunnels and hidden pathways, of tiny, scurrying lives, moving through the subnivean layer, the small space between the ground and the snowpack. This is the world of the voles and the mice, and the fox is listening to it with an intensity that is absolute. She stops. Her body is perfectly still, a statue of russet fur, but her ears are alive. They turn, they pivot, they triangulate, like two sensitive radar dishes, listening for a sound that is almost impossible for any other creature to hear, the faint, high-pitched squeak of a vole communicating with another. The tiny, scratching sound of its claws on a frozen blade of grass as it moves through its hidden tunnel deep beneath the snow. She tilts her head to one side, then the other, her sharp muzzle pointed down towards the snow, her focus absolute. She is like a doctor listening for a faint, distant heartbeat. She takes a few slow, careful, silent steps to her left. She stops again. She tilts her head again. She has found something, a subtle, betraying sound. Her body tenses, every muscle coiled and ready, like a spring being wound tight. She leaps. It is a magnificent, surprising, acrobatic motion. She springs straight up into the air, her powerful hind legs launching her upwards, her body arsing against the pale blue sky. For a breathtaking moment, she seems to hang there, suspended between earth and heaven. Then, gravity takes hold. She brings her two front paws together, pointing them down like a spear, and dives straight down, her sharp nose and paws plunging deep into the soft, powdery snow. There is a brief, muffled flurry, a puff of white. Then stillness. She remains half-buried for a moment. Then she pulls her head out of the snow, shaking it from side to side. In her mouth is a small, grey vole. The hunt was a success. It was a combination of patience, extraordinary hearing, and explosive, precise power. She eats her small meal quickly, then licks the fine, cold snow from her black nose and whiskers. She is not driven by a ravenous hunger. but by a steady, instinctual need to maintain her energy, to fuel the quiet furnace of her body against the pervasive, draining cold. The small meal is enough, for now. She shakes the snow from her thick ruff and continues her slow, deliberate patrol of the meadow, her senses still tuned to the secret, invisible world beneath her paws. She is a creature of immense patience, an artist of the winter hunt. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, it struggles to assert its warmth against the deep, abiding cold of the winter landscape. It is not the strong, hot sun of summer, but a pale, white disk in a vast, pale blue sky. It offers more light than heat, yet its light is clean and bright, and where it falls, it brings a faint, welcome touch of warmth, a promise of the distant spring. The long, blue shadows of the morning retreat, shrinking back toward the trees. The snow, once a field of blues and lavenders, now glitters with a brilliant, almost blinding, diamond-like light. The fox, her morning hunt complete and her belly content, now seeks out a place of rest. But unlike the deer who seeks the deep shade to hide, the fox, in this cold season, seeks the sun. She knows every sun-drenched nook in her territory. She finds a sheltered spot at the base of a large, dark boulder on the south-facing side of a small, wooded hill. Here the sharp north wind cannot reach her, and the dark, lichen-covered rock has been absorbing some of the sun's weak energy for hours, radiating a faint, gentle warmth into the air around it. The snow here is shallow, and in some places it has melted away in small patches to reveal the brown, frozen grass beneath. She turns in a circle 3 times, a deeply ingrained habit as old as her kind, an instinct to pack down the snow and grass, to create a more comfortable, secure bed. Then she curls up, her body a perfect crescent, tucking her nose once again beneath the thick, white-tipped brush of her tail. But she does not go to sleep. Not yet. She dozes. Her amber eyes are half closed, squinting in the bright, reflected light of the snow. She watches the quiet world from a state of deep, peaceful relaxation. She watches a small, dark bird, a junco, hop across the snow, pecking at invisible seeds. She watches a single, dry, brown leaf, clinging stubbornly to a high oak branch, tremble and dance in the slight breeze. She watches the steam of her own breath rise and dissipate in the cold, clear air. The faint warmth of the sun feels good on her thick fur. She can feel it seeping past the outer guard hairs and down into the soft, dense undercoat, a comforting, gentle presence on her skin. After a while, she lifts her head and begins to groom herself with meticulous care. She licks a black-furred paw, a rough, wet motion, and then uses the damp paw to wash her face, her sharp ears, the space behind them. She attends to her coat, nibbling at a stray bit of ice that has clung to the fur on her leg, smoothing the thick ruff of fur around her neck. Her world is small and peaceful in this moment. It is defined by the dark, warm rock behind her, the glittering, white snow in front of her, the pale, distant sun above her, and the feeling of gentle warmth on her back. She closes her eyes completely now. She drifts, She is not hunting, not travelling, not listening with the sharp intensity of the morning. She is simply being. A still, warm, flammer-collared creature, a spot of living colour at rest in a vast, silent white world. The sun begins its slow descent toward the western horizon, its light turning from a stark white to a soft, buttery yellow. The shadows of the pines, which had been short and stubby at noon, now begin to stretch again, long dark blue fingers reaching across the white snow. A new, sharper chill begins to creep into the air. The fox awakens from her sun-drenched doze. She rises and stretches, a long, languid, cat-like arch of her back, her tail held high. She shakes the sleep from her body and looks out across her territory, her amber eyes taking in the familiar landscape. It is time to patrol her borders. She sets off at a steady, efficient, trotting pace, her movement effortless and flowing. She follows paths that are invisible to us, but are as clear as a well-trodden road to her. A line of scent she herself left days ago. A familiar ridge that offers a good vantage point. A line of trees that provides cover. Her journey is a sensory one, a constant gathering of information. She smells the sharp, clean scent of the pine trees. She smells the faint, sweet smell of the frozen earth where the sun has warmed it. She hears the crisp, rhythmic crunch of her own paws in the snow. She sees the way the low, afternoon light catches the delicate filigree of ice on a tree branch, making it glow for a moment like a shard of glass. She pauses at a prominent, moss-covered log, half buried in the snow. She lifts her leg and leaves a small spurt of pungent urine, a powerful chemical message for any other fox who might pass this way. It is her signature, her calling card, her claim. It says, "This is my land. I was here on this day. I am strong and healthy." She does this several more times as she moves along her route at the base of a large, gnarled tree, on a small mound of earth that stands out from the flat snow. It is not an act of aggression, but a quiet, constant conversation she is having with the landscape and with the invisible members of her own kind. She explores. She finds a set of tracks left by a snow-shoe hare and investigates them thoroughly, her long nose deep in each print, reading the story of its passing, how long ago it was here, which direction it was going. She looks up at the sound of a raven's call, watching its large, black form soar against the pale, yellow sky, its feathers catching the light. She is the keeper of this territory, its quiet, watchful guardian. She knows every tree, every rock, every dip and rise of the land. This is her world, and she moves through it with the quiet confidence of a creature who is perfectly at home. She is not hurried. Her patrol is not a chore, but a deeply ingrained ritual. It is the way she connects with her home, reaffirming her place in the world with each passing day. She trots along the edge of the frozen creek, a silent, red shadow moving through the long, blue shadows of the late afternoon. The world changes colour again, a slow, silent spectacle. The yellow light of the afternoon softens, deepens into a rich, deep gold. then begins to fade into shades of orange and soft pink and delicate violet. The snow acts as a perfect canvas, reflecting these colours, turning from white to a soft, glowing rose. It is a beautiful, fleeting, and utterly silent event. Dusk brings a new sharpness to the fox's senses. The cooling, denser air carries scent further. Sounds become clearer, more distinct in the growing stillness. This is her time. She is a crepuscular creature, most active in the twilight hours of dawn and dusk. Her energy, which was calm and restful during the day, now quickens. Her focus intensifies. Her earlier meal of the vole was a light one, a simple snack. Now she must hunt again, more seriously this time, to prepare for the long, cold, energy-sapping night ahead. She moves to the edge of the forest, where the dense trees meet the open, brushy field. Here, the tracks of other animals are more numerous, a network of stories in the snow. She pauses, her nose to the ground, deciphering the complex tapestry of scents. The old, faint scent of deer that passed through earlier. The fresh, strong, nutty scent of a squirrel, and beneath it all, the faint, yet alluring, warm, dusty scent of a pheasant, a bird that is roosting for the night in the protective cover of a thick, thorny bush. She moves now with an almost impossible stealth. Her body sinks low to the ground, her belly nearly brushing the top of the snow. Her movements become slow and liquid, each muscle controlled. She places each paw with painstaking care, making no sound at all as she steps. She is no longer a bright flame in the snow, she has become a part of the deepening shadows, her russet coat a perfect camouflage in the fading, rosy light. She stalks toward the thicket, using the trunks of the trees and the growing darkness for cover. Her amber eyes are wide, her pupils dilated to gather every last bit of light. They seem to glow with a focused intensity. She can hear the faint, soft, sleepy clucking of the hidden bird. She can smell its warm, feathered presence on the cold evening air. She freezes 10 feet from the bush, her body a perfect, tense, horizontal line. She waits. She is a creature of absolute patience, an expert in the art of stillness. The sky fades from violet to a deep, stardusted indigo. A great horned owl calls from the deep woods, a single, mournful, resonant hoot. The fox remains motionless, a living embodiment of focus and potential. The moment must be perfect. Whether the hunt is successful or not, whether she returns with a full belly, or only the lingering scent of her quarry, the deepening cold and the profound darkness of the true night eventually pull the fox back toward the center of her territory. The time for roaming is done. The time for rest has come again. She trots back through the silent, moonlit woods. The snow now glows with a pale, cold, silver light, a light that seems to come from the snow itself. The world is stark and beautiful, a landscape of black and silver, of sharp shadows and luminous surfaces. Her journey home is quiet and direct. She knows the way by heart, by scent, by the feel of the land beneath her paws. She arrives at the great pine tree. Its dark, heavy branches are familiar, comforting silhouette against the vast, starry sky. She pauses at the entrance to her den, a dark, welcoming hole at the base of the tangled roots. She takes one last look at the wide, cold, silent world, one last taste of the crisp, clean, star-filled night air. Then she slips down into the tunnel, leaving the silver world of the moon and stars behind. She enters the world of absolute darkness, of warmth, of the smell of earth. The familiar, safe scent of her den envelopes her like a blanket. She moves to the center of the chamber, and once again, she turns in a slow circle, an ancient ritual that connects her to all the foxes who have come before her in this very den. She curls her body into a tight, perfect ball, a sphere of warmth against the long, cold night. She pulls her magnificent, bushy tail over her black nose and her paws, creating her own personal atmosphere of warm, recycled air. Her breathing slows. The energy of the hunt, the alertness of the patrol, all of it dissipates, replaced by a deep, profound sense of peace and absolute security. Here, in the heart of the earth, she is safe. She is warm. She is home. Her amber eyes close, and she surrenders to the deep, dreamless sleep of the wild, a rest that is both complete and yet ever watchful, held gently in the quiet, absolute darkness of her den, while the stars turn slowly in the vast, cold sky above. Thank you for wandering with us in the slow world. May your rest be as calm as the forest, and may sleep find you gently,